Hi, y'all. This is Rachel, the Dime Diva, coming to you with another episode of Dime Life. And today's episode is Confessions of a Pick Me, Volume 2. So, Dime Divas and Dime Daddies, y'all really loved Confessions of a Pick Me. And so I decided to make it into a recurring series for all of you. And today I am using my new podcast mic for the first time, and I'm excited to be able to share better audio quality with y'all. So we're in for a treat today. So, Confessions of a Pygmy Volume 2 today is going to address women being competitive with other women for men, why it happens, different scenarios from my life where this occurred, and we're going to get into the tea on a situation between Lil Baby, Jayda Cheeves, his baby mom, Ari the Dawn, and her uh, boyfriend, Moneybag Yo. So let's just go right to the piping hot tea. So, as y'all know, my favorite rapper is Lil Baby. He is a Atlanta-based rapper. He is also a businessman, and he's known as a womanizer and a trick. Okay, he's known for spending money on his women, and he likes to say that none of his women that he deals with have a car note. They all have Mercedes that are purchased in cash by him. So, because of Lil Baby's generosity towards women that he deals with, he is very popular with women in the entertainment industry. He also seems like a charming person and also like somebody that actually treats women that he deals with relatively well. And so that's also going to lend him an air of popularity, especially in the entertainment industry where a lot of men are truly just disrespectful and yeah. And Jada is a online influencer, an Instagram model, a clothing designer, and an all-around it girl. Now, Jada and Lil Baby's relationship has been tumultuous over the years. They have a young son named Loyal, and they've been on and off. And to be honest with you, most of the on and off has just, in my opinion, come from the fact that Jada is not able to mentally handle the fact that she's in an open relationship with Lil Baby. And there are mocking and taunting women who do things like slide into her DMs or um, come under all of her posts and try to humiliate her regarding Lil Baby's activities. Okay. So that's one couple that we'll be discussing today. The other couple is Ari the Don and Moneybag Yo. So Ari the Don is also in the same demographic as Jada. She's an Instagram model. She's an influencer. She is a business owner. She has a cosmetics line. And Moneybag Yo is a rapper out of Memphis who is renowned, relatively so, in terms of being a relatively successful rapper, known for having money, and as is Ari. So Ari is also the baby mother of G Herbo, who is another rapper who's from Chicago, and they share a son, Yoshan. So these two crossed paths in various ways, Jayda and Ari. They were on a show called The Impact ETL on BET Plus, which I did watch. It was a good show. I watched the first season. And they had some issues on the show. Jada believing that Ari was taunting her about having slept with and engaged with Lil Baby. Um, Ari allegedly posted a story to her close friends on Instagram, which is a part of the app that you can just allow only a certain select group of people to view, um, saying something in the likes of, watch your baby daddies, or y'all should be keeping in mind your baby daddies. Now, Jada took it as a subliminal message to her that she should watch out for Lil Baby because he and Ari were engaging with each other sexually. Now, to provide you some context, this would not be the first time that Ari is deemed to have engaged sexually with someone else's public partner, right? So, in this world, in this entertainment industry, it's really understood that everyone is pretty much engaging sexually with everyone else, but they're seen as a level of respect for public partnerships. And especially if a public partner is a friend or some type of closer acquaintance with um, a woman, then it would be seen as taboo for that woman to then go after the entertainer because it would be deemed as kind of betrayal to the public partner. Um, so Ari has done this before. She was rumored to have allegedly slept with Offset, who is another Atlanta-based rapper who is the estranged husband of rapper Cardi B and the father of Cardi's children. So Ari is alleged to have uh, gone behind I'm sorry, Ari is alleged to have gone behind Cardi's back to deal with Offset. And she's alleged to have gone behind Jada's back to have dealt with Lil Baby. Okay. Ari has made some distressing statements in the past regarding what she would be willing to do for money. So, my take is that this is probably a tricking situation where Ari is being flown out or entertained by these men in more of a purely transactional way where she's getting money, basically escorting. This is my theory, right? This is all alleged. Basically escorting in terms of getting money and jewelry, purses, etc. Ari has stated previously that she would pretty much be willing to do anything sexually for money. On an episode of Carisha Please, which is a TV show on Revolt Network, that is hosted by the rapper Young Miami, also known as Carisha Brownlee. Ari said that she would be willing to allow a man to relieve his bowels onto her. She would consider allowing someone to do that if the price was right. So I think for her, the idea of betraying a friend or a colleague in order to get to money would not really be necessarily taboo. So the controversy around Jada and Ari began in earnest recently when Jayda was on a live stream on social media and was asked during the live stream if the rumors about Ari and Lil Baby engaging sexually were true. And Jayda said those are not rumors, that has been going on. And that led to a controversy where people were, kind of talking down on Ari because Ari is in a relationship, shaming Moneybagg Yo for being in a relationship with somebody who allegedly cheats on him. And also something even more disturbing, which is pitting Jayda and Ari against each other, almost as like a competition, particularly using Lil Baby's most recent song hit, which is called Mrs. Trendsetter. And that song was confirmed by Lil Baby to be about Jayda, not about Ari. So Lil Baby did come out and speak during the controversy in that small way. Moneybagg Yo has not really addressed the controversy other than just showing up online, seemingly unbothered and counting stacks of cash. So now that we understand the situation between Ari and Jayda, I would like to analyze how we got here as women, because this is very pick me behavior. Remember from episode 1 of Confessions of a Former Pick Me? Pick me behavior is really about prioritizing the male gaze, prioritizing male attention, doing whatever is necessary in order to ensure that a woman is in line with what men prefer so that they can gain male approval. Um, and so I want to talk today about why pick me's often end up in competition with each other for men, even when the men themselves are displaying unworthiness to be fought over. And my take in theory is that it's really not about the man at all. It's more so about the woman. So I'm going to use my own story and weave that in with Jayda and Ari to kind of explain my theories on what leads women to compete with each other. So, my story that I'm going to be weaving in is about how I ended up. I'm just going to say it out. I'm just going to say it. How I ended up competing for the attention and affection of a man who had a baby on the way with another woman. Okay. So if you feel like it's bad that Ari and Jayda are, seemingly fighting and sparring over Lil Baby, who is a notorious trick and a womanizer, then you really will, you'll see that I was in a similar boat in that I was negating or disregarding the humanity of another woman in order to chase the approval and affections of a man. Okay. So we're going to talk about 3 key reasons that pick me's compete for men, regardless of male worthiness, to actually be chased or secured in any type of way. So the first reason, the first of 3, is that we live in a patriarchy. This is a patriarchal system in the United States of America. So, in a patriarchy, it's a system that prioritizes the needs and power of men above all else. So the needs of men are prioritized over the needs of women, over the needs of children, over the needs of, anyone else. The needs of men are prioritized. Patriarchy grants men greater access to power, status, resources, and decision-making authority. So some of the competition for men is rooted in a desire for economic security, social legitimacy, and material support. Men also hold disproportionate power, either economic power or symbolic power. And women may compete for partnership with men who are deemed to be higher status. So this makes sense in the case of Ari and Jayda, seemingly squabbling in a sense over Lil Baby, right? Lil Baby is a millionaire. He is a businessman. While Ari and Jayda both have their own income and are wealthy in their own right, I think that they understand their positioning in the economic sphere, particularly in the entertainment industry, is not as stable as Lil Baby's is. And with Lil Baby being a notorious trick, right? It's never gonna hurt the idea of getting things for free, right? Who doesn't like the idea of getting things for free? Um, so in the event that Ari and Jayda actually did have a friendship, that Ari compromised um by being intimate with Lil Baby, it could have been economically motivated, right? Because Ari has made it clear that she's willing and able to do things for money that a lot of people wouldn't even um fathom, allegedly. And so it makes sense that she would say money over loyalty and go ahead and seek out the affections of a well-resourced man. In my situation, there may have been some type of economic motivation, just honestly because of, for me as a woman, I like the idea of having a provider, right? This man that basically we were in some ways competing over, was not uh, even making as much money as either of the women. The pregnant woman that was, carrying his child, or me. However, just the idea of having a man's support in this world, a man that you can call on if something is wrong, a man who has your back. And then also, this individual was interested in similar endeavors as me in terms of wanting to get into content creation and wanting to, enter the world of digital media. And so for me, it also kind of created this fantasy in my mind that, like, oh, well, maybe we can take on these endeavors together and I don't have to blaze this trail on my own, but I can have somebody to partner along with me um, on the journey to not feel as vulnerable. So there was definitely an appeal there for this individual. Um, Now, the second of three reasons that women may compete for the male gaze or a male partner would be evolutionary psychology. So, there are some theories in the field of evolutionary psychology that suggest that both men and women engage in competition with the same sex. So, men competing with men, women competing with women for desired mates. Now, for women, this competition may include highlighting traits that are valued by males, such as physical attractiveness, or reducing the competitor's access to potential mates. So, in the evolutionary psychology lens, it could be explained that Ari and Jayda are almost like going off of instinct. Like there's this instinct that, oh, this woman is trying to encroach on my territory. Whoa, 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 back up. I want her to leave because I want this man to be mine. Right? Now, this was super prevalent, I think, on both sides in my situation. Now, I never actually had a conversation with this woman that I was basically in competition with for this man. However, he was bringing information back and forth to both of us, basically, in some ways, triangulating us, maybe intentionally, maybe not. Um, but basically explaining to me why it was appropriate for him to be seeking companionship. Um, it was not a boyfriend girlfriend situation, but it was definitely like it was giving a situationship vibe. Why it was appropriate for him to be seeking attention and companionship away from this pregnant woman, right? And I'm sure he was doing the same to her when explaining to her why I was not a threat or I was not actually anyone to be worried about. Okay. But definitely I sensed I eventually exited the situation, thank God, when I realized that while the woman was aware of my presence in the man's life, I don't believe that she understood that this was heading in a romantic direction. I don't think that she fully comprehended the extent of the relationship that I was having with this man. Um, it was not a, it was very, this man intentionally kept it in a very gray area, almost like plausible deniability. Again, not even, I don't even know if this was a conscious choice on his part, but it was a very gray area. And once I realized, like, oh, she's starting to sense what's going on here, and she's not comfortable with it, which makes sense. She was pregnant with the man's child. Um, but she's not comfortable with it. And I basically was like, I have two choices here. I'm either going to double down and be like, no, I want to still have access to this man. And I'm even going to try to ratchet it up and make it romantic and potentially like try to steal him from this woman who was carrying his child. Or I have to bow out of the situation. Those are the two options. Um, and once it became black and white like that, like once the gray area was cleared, and I was like, oh, well, either I'm going to try to break up this home or I'm going to chill out and exit the situation before it gets messy. Um, that's when I knew I had to get out of the situation. However, I will tell you that I was tempted to go with option B of trying to blow up the family. And I mean, it's hard for me to even admit this out of my mouth, but I will tell you, I think I understand a little bit of why that temptation was there for me. And it's the third category of reasons that women compete for men. And in that category of social psychology, it kind of explains why our perception of ourself may lead us as women to compete with other women for the affections of men. It's not really about the man, it's more so about how we view ourselves. So, social psychology theories state that under Festinger's social comparison theory, people evaluate themselves typically relative to other people. So, okay, I know I'm a good writer because I feel like I write just as well as people who are published authors. I know I'm a good lawyer because I win cases against other experienced lawyers. So these are things that we use to almost validate ourselves and feel confident that we can cut it in certain areas. Now, in environments where success is defined by relationship status, comparisons between women are going to intensify. Effects of comparison can include heightened self objectification, competitive behaviors, jealousy, envy, or social exclusion. Now, these social dynamics can be shaped by cultural norms about attractiveness, desirability, and worth. Now, let's be real about American culture. As far as we've come in 2026, I'm an elder millennial. I grew up when it was a flex to be married. And it was seen as odd to not be partnered. Let's take it back to like my high school days. All of the pretty girls had boyfriends. If you were a pretty girl without a boyfriend, it was almost like, why didn't anybody choose you? Even though the boys were like, they're teenage boys, like they're not all that. So in my situation, I still had that social programming of having a man is better than not having a man. And if I can take your man away from you, especially when you're carrying his child, it's like the gold medal of getting chosen in terms of like self-concept. So my inner shadow that that didn't care about the well-being of this other woman and just wanted to validate my ego, validate my desirability, validate my ability to um, compete on the field of um, attractiveness, desirability, worth. All of those reasons are why I would have considered attempting to break up a home. And I'm sure for the woman who was expecting this baby, it was a similar desire for hers was probably more rooted in security, honestly. Just the idea of like, wait a second, I'm carrying your child. Aren't we supposed to be locked in? And feeling vulnerable, like, wait, if I'm, seeing this other woman enter the picture, I'm gonna feel um insecure about how I'm supposed to be moving forward. Um, so the situation with Ari and Jayda, I think, also fits into this theory nicely, into Festinger's social comparison theory. Ari and Jayda are very similar in their standing in terms of society, in their net worth, in their businesses, in how they present themselves to the world. They're really in a similar frequency. So, because of that, it would be easy for them to compare to one another. Who's better? Am I as good as her? Is she below me? Is she above me? So, Lil Baby using the Mrs. Trendsetter song and confirming that the song was about Jayda. In my opinion, I think that Jayda encouraged him to do that. And why, again, this is my opinion, why do I think she encouraged him to do that? Because she wanted to assert dominance. She wanted to put herself forward as the muse behind Lil Baby's hit to show I'm better than Ari and I can compete for the same men, the same accolades, and the same social standing that Ari has. So I think they encapsulate all three theories. Um, Really, the ending of the story between Jayda and Ari is that neither of them seem to be with Lil Baby at this point. Lil Baby is rumored to have a whole new relationship. I can't confirm or deny those rumors. Obviously, I haven't heard any um definitive things from him, but at this point, it looks like neither of them are even with the guy. So I mean, that's why I'm saying like it's not even about the man. In terms of my situation, um, I think thank God came to my senses and bowed out of the situation, got out of Dodge, and wish the best to that new family. And I learned a lot about myself through that experience because it was just as I was coming out of my pick meism and starting to decenter men that this situation came along. And it's almost like it was a experience for me to see like how deep rooted the pick meism went so that I could understand that I need to never go back in that direction, like never go back to being a pick me. Um, so guys, I mean, I hope that y'all can receive this information from me with the humility with which it's intended. I don't think it's okay what my mindset was. I don't think that it's something to take lightly. This is something that I've had a long time to process and work through um, in order to really excavate like my shadow side as it pertains to being a former pick me. But definitely not something that I would recommend doing. It's just not a good it was not a good situation. And it's something that I definitely regret participating in. Um, but saying all that to say, we've made it to the other side and learned a lot from the human experience. Well, y'all, that's it for me. I hope that this explanation of woman versus woman competition in Pick Me's helps you to understand some of the dynamics that we see play out regularly in society. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.